Oldies 1170.
It's sports time, and when it's time for sports, it's time for the Pressbox Chatter Show, your ultimate in-game for all things sports, all local. Each week, our guys are bringing you exclusive high school game content, in-depth insights, thrilling recaps, exciting previews, and taking you inside the pivotal plays of all of your favorite local high school teams like never before. So turn up those speakers, because it's no limits, no excuses. It's the Pressbox Chatter Show on WCLN.
Welcome to this week's Pressbox Chatter Show on Oldies 1170 AM, Star Communication Channel 16, Oldies1170.com, and the Mixler app. Pressbox Chatter is sponsored by Crumpler Plastic of Roseboro, Sampson Orthopedic Group, Star TV, and the Sampson Independent. Go to the Sampson Independent's website, ClintonNC.com, to see the video replay of each week's show, and audio replay is available also at Oldies1170.com. In this week's show, we will review action from Tuesday, October 22nd through yesterday and preview the upcoming week's action. Some of the sports are finishing up. Some are already in the playoffs. Got a big one to talk about with Midway and volleyball, and that game's actually going on now, and you've got live updates, and we'll get that to you here shortly. And a couple sports still have a week or two left in the regular season. I'm Jeff Sobel, joined by the sports editor, the hardest working local man around of the Sampson Independent, Brant Young. Thanks again for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me, Coach. Thanks for having me on Friday as well for the Clinton game.
That was good stuff up there. That was fun.
Yeah, and this marks, I think, the fourth straight week that I've been on here, so we're setting new records every day.
We're going to start out again. Some of the sports kind of finishing up locally, at least for us, and others again. Midway again involved in a big game. We're going to get to volleyball here in our first segment. Interview later today with Perry Gillespie, cross country coach at Clinton High School, men's and women's cross country coach. We'll have him around 6:10, 6:15, and finishing up the season. Successful regular season for the cross country teams at Clinton, and they got a runner going on to the States this Saturday. We'll talk with him shortly. In fact, we'll get into cross country. Again, Clinton men won the championship, and the women for Clinton finished second. I believe Midway was the winner for the women's division, correct?
Yeah, I have them placing all region at regionals last weekend, so I do believe that they won the conference as well.
Conference, yeah, we'll talk with Coach Gillespie about that. At the regionals this past Saturday for the 1A and 2As, the 1As were at Lewisburg, the 2As were at Cary. Of all our area runners, Ruby Davila, and she'll be going on to the States. She finished 22nd. And for West Bladen, DeMontre Love finished 30th. He was the male runner of the year for the Southeastern Athletic Conference. And for Ruby, she was the female runner. And again, Coach Gillespie will come up shortly and give us more information about that. Tennis has wrapped up locally now in the playoffs. East Bladen made the playoffs, but they dropped their first round decision last Wednesday to Bertie 5-1, and they'll finish up the year at 4-7. Clinton went into the playoffs and start off with last month, we talked about last week, a 5-4 win in their first round game. They came back Wednesday, had to go to North Johnston, a school they lost at 4-5 earlier in the year in the regular season, and they defeated North Johnston 5-4. Singles were tied all at 3 after the first 6 matches. Madison Avery, Allie Naylor, and Delaney Pearson all won their singles match. Delaney split the 2 sets with her opponent, and Delaney won the tiebreaker 10-3. Then in the doubles, somebody had to win 2 out of 3, and the dark horses prevailed. Abby Sinclair and Pearson won their match 8-4, and Avery and Naylor won their match 8-5. Clinton won 5-4. They advanced to the third round, which was yesterday. They got to the third round of the state. Unfortunately, they ran into Green Central, who now is 21-1 on the year, as the horses dropped a third round decision to Green Central yesterday. The horses will finish up the year 12-10 and conference champs, and a fine year for them as well. Congratulate them. We'll head into volleyball then. And volleyball is wrapped up for all our local teams except for 2. 3 of them made the playoffs last week. We got to the 2 went to the 1As, and unfortunately both fell up short last week. Hopton ended their season at 14-7 overall. They dropped a 3-0 decision to East Wake, and East Bladen finished the season 8-11. They lost a first round decision 3-0 to Pamlico. In the 2A ranks, Clinton then traveled to East Duplin last week, and Clinton won the first set, dropped the second and third, picked up the fourth set, but unfortunately dropped the fifth set 15-10 and fell to East Duplin 3-2. Clinton ends the year at 16-6. Did I give you the papers over there? You got them?
I do not have that one.
Flip it over. Maybe it's something. You got the middle school there first, which I was going to get to.
I lied.
Sometime.
I do have that paper.
I thought it was better this week. Let's get to Midway now. Midway came into the playoffs, obviously the conference champion. They were the number 2 seed overall, and then they started last Tuesday with a 3-0 win over West Craven. Say it again, West Craven, winning 25-8, 25-19, and 25-10. And one thing I like about volleyball, whoever their stat person is, they've got a lot of work to do now.
Yeah, they do. Shout out to whoever's doing the volleyball stats. I know we talked about it earlier this year, I believe at one of the Clinton games, and you were like, I don't know all of these categories for stats. So I'm right there with you. I'm learning though. So whoever's doing that is doing a fine job getting us all these stats this quick.
Yeah, and they were there right away. Caden Moran had 12 kills. Samantha Carter had 10 kills. Kaylin Hewlett had 10 kills and 4 aces. Peyton Herring, 4 blocks. Grayson Hall had 6 digs. And Ella Clark, 28 assists on the match. That's when they beat West Craven. That got them to the second round against Bunn last Thursday. And they defeated Bunn 3-1. They picked up the first 2 sets 25-11. Dropped the third 25-19 before winning the fourth 25-18. And Caden again had 26 kills. Kaylin Hewlett had 11 kills and 3 aces. Herring had 10 blocks and Clark 33 assists. Came back then Saturday for the third round of the playoffs, and they played Princeton, a team they had already beaten twice. So the whole thing had to beat somebody 3 times. They had defeated them 3-2 and then 3-0 earlier, and they swept them again Saturday, 25-20, 25-20, 25-15. As Susan Clark's team advanced to the fourth round, Moran had 13 kills, Hewlett 9 kills and 5 aces, Clark 21 assists and 10 digs, and Summer Watson had 9 digs. They are currently playing now today against Manio in the fourth round, the Elite 8 at home, and our update right now is, Brant?
First of all, I found out it is not Manteo. I got laughed at in the office when I said that yesterday.
Not the linebacker. He used to be for Notre Dame and San Diego Chargers. No.
Yeah, no, not him. So Midway won the first set 25-18 tonight. They lost the second set, so it is currently a 1-1 game in the middle of the third set. So as I get those updates, I will obviously give them here, but best of luck to the Lady Raiders. I'm really hoping that, we get to see something on Saturday. Obviously, they have to win tonight, win Thursday, and they'll be playing at Reynolds Coliseum up at NC State on Saturday for the state championship if they proceed that far.
And the top 4 seeds all held in the 2A volleyball playoffs. It's Aiden Grifton, the number 1 seed, and I think it's Seaforth, the 4 seed. And then it's Manio and Midway tonight, the 3 and the 2 at Midway. And again, winners for the Eastern Championship would be Thursday, and the state championship is Saturday, as Brant mentioned. And then Mintz Christian Academy traveled up to Ohio for the national tournament. They participated in the tournament last year and finished runners-up. They participated in it this year, and kind of a mixed result, but overall a winning record for Mintz.
Yeah, so, they went 3-3 on the tournament. They tied for first in pool play, got second on the tiebreaker. They lost in semi to the team that played for the championship, but they ended up losing. So they lost to the eventual runners-up. Report from the coach, Dan Hines, said the competition was excellent. The team that won it all was from Florida and was clearly the best team there. And I had given him advice earlier in the week, since they were so close to the Cincinnati-Dayton area, to get some Skyline chili. And my reports are that he did not get any Skyline chili. So maybe next time, Coach Hines, maybe next time you can get some Skyline chili in your life.
And there are other schools from Ohio, Indiana, and Maryland there beside the team from Florida. So this is truly a national tournament. So Mintz was 3-3 in it. That leaves now Mintz 26-4 on the year, and they will have their conference tournament. Now they come back for their conference tournament, which they are hosting. And you have the schedule for that.
I do have the updates. I have the updates for soccer and volleyball this week. Today there was the soccer play-in match, which was Liberty versus Sandhills. Thursday, Mintz will play at 4 p.m. versus the play-in winner, either Liberty or Sandhills. 2 p.m. on Thursday is the other soccer semifinal. Volleyball, Thursday is the quarterfinals. Friday is the semifinals. And it sounds like they got buys through Thursday. So Friday they would play JV at 5, varsity at 6:30. And then Saturday, if both teams make it, or all three teams, I should say, to the conference championship. Soccer will play at 11 a.m. JV volleyball will be at 11:30 and varsity at 1 o'clock, and those will all be home games for Mintz Christian Academy.
Yes, there we go. We've had not been very successful getting statistics on the Mintz soccer a whole lot this year, so that's why we've not mentioned them a whole lot. But best of luck to them this week in the Mintz volleyball tournament, finishing up the year, or volleyball team finishing up their year, looking to win their conference championship. And again, they'll play Friday and then hopefully Saturday this week at Mintz. And that's our volleyball update. And again, we'll keep the updated on Midway as the reports come in live, as Midway's playing Manio tonight for the fourth round of the volleyball playoffs. We're back with our conversation with Coach Perry Gillespie of Clinton men's and women's cross-country coach. That'll be coming up next here on Pressbox Chatter.
The Pressbox Chatter brought to you in part by Crumbler Plastic Pipe Incorporated, agricultural drain systems, constructed wetlands, septic sewer drain pipes. For more information, call 910-525-4046 or log on to the website www.cpp-pipe.com.
Stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group. Whether it's a sports injury, joint pain, or the need for expert surgical care, Sampson Orthopedic Group has you covered. Our team of skilled providers are here to get you back and doing what you love, pain-free. From advanced joint replacements to comprehensive sports medicine, we offer personalized, compassionate care that will get you back to doing what you love. Discover expert care right here in your community at Sampson Orthopedic Group. Call Sampson Orthopedic Group today at 910-590-1001. Again, call 910-590-1001 and stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group.
Trying to get up with Coach Perry Gillespie. Welcome back to Pressbox
Your call
Chatter.
has been forwarded to voicemail.
Uh-oh.
The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone,
Let's see if we can get Coach Gillespie to give us a buzz maybe here. And I can send him a quick text here. And we'll get up with Coach. And if we got a delay, we'll get up with him sometime during the hour. We'll try him back here after we go through. We're going to hit football coming up next. And give him one more try.
Hello?
Coach Gillespie.
Yes.
This is Jeff Salvo, joined with Grant Young from the Sampson Independent here on Pressbox Chatter. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Jeff Salvo, joined with Grant Young from the Sampson Independent. Yes, sir.
Hey, you maybe turn down you got your TV on or the radio on. They got the delay here, so we kind of hear the delay over
I'm sorry.
the speaker. That's all right. That's all right. Thanks for joining us this evening. I just want to go over, talk with you about the season you had. Of course, it's still going on for Ruby. We'll get to Ruby here in a little bit.
Yes.
But let people know. Some people, may not be aware of exactly how a cross-country meet runs, how far the participants run, how it is scored. Kind of go over what occurs, what happens at a cross-country meet.
Okay. Well, we in our conference, there's 6 teams, the SAC 6, so we come together, and we run about 3.5 miles at each meet. You're supposed to run, because it's cross-country, we don't run on a track. We run across an area that's been mapped off for the 3.5 miles. For example, we go to Luther Britt Park in Lumberton for a lot of the races because it is real. We run on their nature trail, so it's pretty cool there. Basically, the scoring is made up of the top 5 runners, and their numbers are added up to get a total. So the closer you come to the top, the better score that you'll receive. You run 7 on a team in case there's a tie, and then they can look at the 6th and 7th runner to sort of be like the tiebreaker, if that makes sense.
Sure. Now, when you talk about scoring, so all right, let's say Ruby goes out and finishes Well, so we'll give her first. We'll give her first in that. So that's 1 point for you, correct? And you have another runner that finishes
That's correct.
fourth.
Yes, and Ruby is running as an individual. We just ran this past last Wednesday. We ran our regional meet, and Ruby came in 22nd overall. But they look at the top 4 teams, and they pull those runners out, and then they look at the next 7 individual runners, and Ruby actually placed number 5 of the individual runners. So when she runs at state on Saturday, she'll just be running for an individual medal.
Okay, but your regular season meets, it's kind of like golf. Low score wins, because obviously the lower score
low
means
score wins.
you've got higher people placed higher.
Yep.
All right. Now you said. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The best time that we placed this year, I think we had a total of 29 points. That was the best score that our girls did the whole season. But we had almost 4 of them that placed in the top 10. So
now 7.
It just depends on the race.
7, you said run on the. Because it's how you feel each race is going to be a little bit different. 7 can run, but just for scoring purposes. But can you run as many as you want during the meet?
Yes, you can. In our conference, except for at the conference run. At the conference run, you can only run 7. But the rest of the regular season races, you can run as many as you want. And I carry a total of 12 men and 9 women.
All right, that was going to be one of my questions coming up. Very good. Going back with the how was the conference champion determined? Because we was kind of texting back and forth, and when on the schedule, of course, it'll list one each of the different places, and then it said conference championship. But that one race,
yeah,
it's
crazy. Actually, the conference champion is determined before the conference race. It's determined by the number of races that you've won in the regular season. And so, for example, we were the conference champions for the men. We won 4 out of the 5 meets. So we won that. Now my ladies, they won 2 out of the 5, and Midway High School, which came in first for the girls, won 3.
There you go.
So the only thing that we determine at the conference race is who will receive all conference runners as an individual.
And we're going to get to your names there shortly for that, if you've got those handy for us. That's an interesting way, because I know we used to coach track a lot, and I think probably cross country did it before. You determine everything based off that one meet. Well, sometimes people might bring in an extra runner or so that maybe they didn't have all year, or you might place well every meet, but all of a sudden on the meet that determines your conference, you just have an off day. So the way
that was us Wednesday. That was my men's team Wednesday. Like I said, we've been pretty dominant the whole season, but we placed, I think, 3rd at the conference meet. So if it had been determined by the conference meet, all those other races that we won would not have been worth anything, because we did not run very well at the conference meet.
Yeah, I think that the way the conference does it, your conference does it, is the best way to do it. All right, well, let's get into
I believe so too.
Let's get into your seasons then. Let's start with your ladies, who finished 2nd in the conference, and kind of go over your top runners who qualified as all conference, and talk about your ladies for a little bit.
Yes. Well, I had 3 seniors that have returned this year. I had Kate Hobson, my own daughter, Evan Gillespie, and one of the reasons that I coach cross country because of her older sister, Olivia. And then I have my other senior, Miss Gabby Guerrera. So they all returned for me, and they've been running with me either 4 years or 3 years. So I had a lot of returners for that. We ran really well. Ruby started out, she did not win the first couple of races. And then all of a sudden it was like she turned it on. And she just blew everybody away. She actually ran faster than some of my guys did for the year. So Ruby, I actually coached her in 8th grade in soccer, and she had never touched a soccer ball before, but we put her back on defense, and she anchored our defense that whole season. So she's like a sponge. She just soaks it all up. And what I told her she needed to do to get faster, she did it. and it paid off for her in the end. She was runner of the year for the conference, and she got, like I said, 22nd overall out of 91 runners at regionals, and she's running at the state meet in Kernersville on Saturday. So she did it. She had an awesome season. My all-conference runners came in. Ruby, of course, was number one at the meet on Wednesday. Haley Mathis, she is one of my juniors. She came in third overall, and then my own daughter Evan came in fifth overall. So they all ran in the top 7 and became all-conference first team.
Very good. And the men, your men won the conference overall. And
yes, we won the conference overall, but like I was saying earlier, we just did not have a good run on Wednesday, and actually none of my runners came in the top 7 on Wednesday, which was very unusual. Usually I had at least 3 that were in the top 7, but we just did not run very well at all.
But you're
but not a good run for us.
You had some qualify or get second team all conference, I believe it was, and just talk about your men's team overall and some of your runners, who obviously the other matches did well because you won 4 out of the 5 as a team.
Yes, I had I was not thinking that my men's team would do as well as they did this season when we started off. We lost a huge runner in Christian Ortiz. Christian pretty much dominated our conference when it came. He was just an amazing cross-country runner, just an amazing long-distance runner, period. And he's actually running this year in Lewisburg College. He on a scholarship. And so losing him, it just was a big gap or big hole in our team. But I had some freshmen and some sophomores who ran for the first time for me that really, really stepped up. A young man named Eric Batista, who's a freshman. Eric just has improved tremendously from the first race until now, and he actually has the fastest time of any of my guys this year. One of his races, he was at 20 minutes and 23 seconds. Also, Will Johnson. Will is a player for me that plays soccer for Coach Spell, and he also runs for me, and he's just been a tremendous help on the team. He's a junior. And then I have a young man named D'Angelo Santiago. D'Angelo is was an asset. He is a sophomore, and he ran, his best time was 20:48. And then another young sophomore, Javius Long, ran it for about 21:17 was his best time. But those 4 were my top 10 runners usually. But like I said, Wednesday was just not a good race for any of them. But Eric and D'Angelo actually made second team all conference, coming in number 8 through 14.
And you got a solid core now coming back for next year.
Yes, I do. Yeah, for both. I'm going to miss my seniors. For my boys, I had 4 seniors who had ran with me since they were freshmen. Michael Miller, Stephen Carter, Garrison Hill, who is another soccer player, and Michael Chavis. And I'm going to miss my seniors a lot.
Now, you used to coach track, and obviously it's your team. You want your team to do well, but one thing I always try to sell with track is an individualistic part of it that you want to improve as you go throughout the year. And I'm sure that's one thing that's always pleasing you as a coach is you get some runners out who maybe don't they place in the top 10 or top 7 or whatever, but they've really improved their times over the years. You got a couple runners you like to mention, give special mention to, work really hard in practice.
Yes, for my girls, Zadia Melvin was a young lady, and she runs track at the high school, but she runs, she's a sprinter. But she actually came in really great a couple of times. It helped us when we won those 2 meets. Zadia ran her best times there, so I was super proud of her. With my guys, all of them just improved their time from race to race. Stephen Carter, for example, he's one of my captains. He's just a solid runner that you can always count on. He may not be the fastest on the team, but he's also going to be the one that will be your biggest cheerleader, if that makes sense. Sure. He's the one on the sideline cheering everybody on. He's the one in practice that gets everybody going. And also for my girls, he sort of plays that role is Evan, Gillespie, Evan, my own daughter, she, to me, is one of the biggest cheerleaders that we have on the team. She's also my captain for the girls' team. She has actually placed all conference since she was a freshman. She's medaled every year. Just a good, solid runner who I'm going to miss tremendously next year.
Now go over.
Also because of the daddy's heart as well.
That's true. That is true. Go over what a week of practice. What's a typical week of practice in season? Because obviously you get your race a certain day, but what's a week of practice like with cross country?
We run on Wednesdays, so we always start out and have a heavier run. One of their favorite things they do, we call it the dark horse run, is they run in groups, and we run, let's say, 3 miles, and we do this on the track. You have one of the first leg, second leg, third leg, and you have your anchor, and they run together though. And as they finish a lap, the person at the back runs and takes forward and starts leading the next lap. And they do that so they each have led the group at least 3 times if we're running 3 miles, for example. So we do a heavier, and we don't have heels. And some of the places that we run have heels, so we also do a lot of bleachers on Mondays as well. Tuesdays looks like because we race on Wednesday, I don't want to kill their legs before the Wednesday's race, so we run around the school then. And it's just a nice, steady race, or run. Wednesday we have our meets, and then Thursday we come back and we do some recovery, and then we hit it hard on Thursdays. Fridays we give them a day off. A lot of my kids are in band. Some of the boys, like I said, play other sports, and then I give them a weekend workout to do. I tell them to run this at home when they're away from us, and then Monday starts all over again.
There you go. And how many meets did you have this year? You had at least 5, I know, and then a conference championship.
Yes, we had, 6. We had a pre-race. We had one before our season started, so that was one. We had 5 during the season. Then we had our regionals, our conference, and we've had our regional runs. We've had 7. And then Ruby will have 8 after Saturday when she runs at the state.
And last thing, actually 2 more things, but last thing here, question-wise, or statement-wise, I guess maybe you can alliterate on it. Cross country, when you coach track again, track, you didn't, it's pretty much open for everybody. And there was a place for somebody out there on the track team to do something, and it's minimum equipment. And cross country is kind of the same way. And it's something, if somebody's looking for a sport, cross country is an excellent sport to participate in.
Yes, and I don't turn anyone away. I'd love to have as many as I can on my team. And like you said, it doesn't cost a lot. I mean, you can pay whatever you want to for your running shoes, but that's really where your cost is in the shoes that you run with. Last year, I was able to write a grant to Brooks Running Shoes, and they outfitted all of my runners with new running shorts, leggings, shirts, and they all got a brand new pair of Brooks running shoes. And most of them run in those shoes this year that they ran in those last year. And then we also got a couple of $1,000 that came in handy this year because we were having to share with the track team our uniforms, so I was able to buy uniforms just for the cross-country team.
There you go. And again, a sport that anybody can really participate and enjoy and get better as the season goes along. A lot of obviously health benefits to it as well. One last thing, we'll let you go because we appreciate your time, but we'll be remiss if we didn't mention that Perry Gillespie is also the Men's Southeastern Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. Congratulations on that, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I was excited about that. So I was super excited.
Congratulations to your men's and women's teams, and best of luck to Ruby this weekend. Thanks for your time again, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group. Whether it's a sports injury, joint pain, or the need for expert surgical care, Sampson Orthopedic Group has you covered. Our team of skilled providers are here to get you back and doing what you love, pain-free. From advanced joint replacements to comprehensive sports medicine, we offer personalized, compassionate care that will get you back to doing what you love. Discover expert care right here in your community at Sampson Orthopedic Group. Call Sampson Orthopedic Group today at 590-1001. Again, call
I have no idea. I've got that email from Lewis.
590-1001 and stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group.
Won the football, correct?
The Pressbox Chatter brought to you in part by Crumbler Plastic Pipe Incorporated, agricultural drain systems, constructed wetlands, septic sewer drain pipes. For more information, call 910-525-4046 or log on to the website www.cpp-pipe.com.
Hey, you got to remember to turn the mics off. There you go. We're back on Pressbox Chatter. We're still learning the board. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks again for Coach Gillespie coming in today, or coming over the phone today and talking about that cross country today. Middle school results real quick. In volleyball, Midway Middle won the conference, won the Sampson County Middle School League with an 8-0, perfect 8-0 record. They had their conference tournament yesterday, and Midway defeated Hopton, and Roseboro-Salemburg defeated Sampson Middle, and so they will have the tournament championship this Thursday at 4 o'clock at Midway Middle School. It'll be Roseboro-Salemburg against Midway Middle in the conference tournament there. Soccer, Roseboro-Salemburg finished first, and in a tournament yesterday, Roseboro-Salemburg defeated Midway, and then Union, the 3 seed, beat Hopton, the 2 seed. And so it'll be Union Middle and Roseboro-Salemburg this Thursday at Sampson Middle School at the Clinton High School soccer field, and that'll be at 4 o'clock as well. And in football, I believe Sampson Middle was the conference champions on that as well too. Speaking of football, we'll go to football. We had a theme last week. Our theme this past Friday was Blowout Friday, where there was not one game in our, what do we have, seven games, 6 games. There was not one game that was close at all. There was not one nail biter, as you might call it, as was last week. Our theme was NSers for a couple coaches. They had no sleepers because of some tough losses. Not this past week. It was pretty much beat. Everybody got either our teams won really bad or won really big or lost really bad. We'll start with Midway. Speaking of a win that was really big, got a 46-8 win. A little bit wider margin than I thought maybe going in. You might have had to predict a blowout on your predictions. When your predictions coming out tomorrow?
Yeah, my predictions come out tomorrow. As it sits right now, I'm 36-12. I dropped another one last week, but I'm at a solid 75% on my picks so far this season.
Yeah.
And I did have this pegged as a blowout. I had it 55-12.
Oh, well, you had it there. So Midway is now 8-1, 4-0 in conference. And Kamari McNeil, 5 rushes, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had a 50-yard punt return TD. Jeremiah Blue had 2 TD runs and also a 70-yard kickoff return. And Anthony Graham, 8 tackles, 3 tackles for losses, which included 2 sacks. And they will be going to, this Friday, to St. Paul's, who was 7-2, 4-0, coming off a game that we both had, obviously, Friday. St. Paul's 49, Clinton 6, to drop the Dark Horses to 1-8 and 1-3.
Yeah, and one thing to note about that game, Coach, if you want more on this tomorrow, I will have it in the newspaper tomorrow. One thing about this, St. Paul's was a little sluggish in the beginning of the Clinton game. It should have been a bigger score at halftime than what it was. No offense to the Dark Horses. There was just stuff taken away from the Bulldogs. I think it was 2 touchdowns in the first half were taken off the board due to penalties or miscues. So I think Midway can come out, and if they can execute, fire on all cylinders, have everybody healthy, St. Paul's can find themselves down 14-0, 21-0 real quick. Or, since I know it's Coach Sloan and he loves to go for 2 points, they can find themselves down 24 points real quick if things go everything for the Raiders. If everything for the Raiders goes correctly. One thing I did want to ask, Coach, when you talk about Blowout Friday, are we going back to the 80s with the hairdos of the blowouts? Because I know you might not be able to rock it, and I don't think anybody wants to see me with a blowout. So is this upcoming Friday Perm Friday by chance?
Ooh, let's just hope it's a good game Friday. Let's see, wherever you're at, and hope it's a good game, whatever you're watching, whatever team you're rooting for. St. Paul's last week, Setzer, the quarterback, really didn't impress last week. He had an off game throwing. He was 4-10, 1 interception. But he did have 5 rushes, 101 yards. He ran a read option beautifully the one time. Kept the ball after the defensive end crashed on the running back and went and over 50 yards for a touchdown. And then McBride, their stud back all year, he's now got 1,357 rush yards on the season. He had 18 carries, 222 yards. But then when he needed a spell, McNeil came in. And McNeil had 4 rushes, 53 yards total. He also had a 50-yard, one of those touchdowns you had called back. That was called back. He had that little jump cut in the hole. It was a beautiful run that got called back. And so he's on this season. He's got 408 yards. He's averaging 8.3 yards a carry. As a team, they've rushed for 2,553 yards. Now you look at Midway. Midway has nobody over the 1,000-yard mark, but they've got between Blue, McNeil, Miles, they've basically rushed just a little less than 100 yards, less than what St. Paul's has. St. Paul's has 2,550 yards rushing on the year. Midway 2,418. So that's basically even there. So Midway's kind of spread the wealth out more amongst their runners than St. Paul's has.
Yeah, and I think this should be a quick game because that clock's going to continue to run because there's not going to be very many incompletions or interceptions or whatever. It's just going to be good old school football. It is just going to be run the rock, kill the clock, and it's going to be whoever has the last possession, I think, in that game.
Now, Setzer didn't have the best throwing day last week, but he does have over 1,000 yards passing. He's at 1,097 yards. That's the St. Paul's quarterback. 13 touchdowns, but he has 9 interceptions. Williams for Midway, 586 yards passing, 7 TDs, and 6 interceptions. One thing you start looking through their stats, too, both teams have multiple touchdowns in the return game, kickoff and punt, and both of them have multiple returns and defensive touchdowns. Of course, St. Paul's had 3 last week. They had 2 interceptions and 1 fumble return for a touchdown, so that kind of bloated their stats a little bit. So something in the kicking game, team gets a spark in the kicking game. That could be obviously key to Friday. And obviously it's a game for the conference championship. It's also a huge game in terms of seeding. Someone had a prediction for the playoffs set up this past Friday, and they had Midway winning. I think they just picked that because Midway currently has got a higher ranking in the RPI than St. Paul's does. And it had Midway, then if Midway wins, Midway going in as a 7 seed. It had St. Paul's going all the way down as a 25 seed. Now,
they take the 32, right?
They take 32, yeah. So it's based off your RPI, and there were 4 teams at that time higher. The 4th place team in the East Central Conference, which is East Duplin, Wallace, Kinston, James Keenan. The 4th place team in the East Central was rated higher than St. Paul's was.
Oh, wow.
So that now saw the rankings today, and St. Paul's was 20th. So, that could be, it might improve that a little bit. But again, whoever loses this game could have quite a fall in terms of, and either one, whoever wins it, won't be one of the top. We'll probably about that 6, 7, 8 range in terms of seeing the number ones. After the number ones, it's all based off your RPI. And the loser between Midway and St. Paul's could find themselves down in that 20, 22 range or so on after some maybe 3rd and 4th place teams out of other conference. And that just gets into strength of schedules, the big thing. And for St. Paul's, what really hurts them is, well, what hurts both teams, Midway and St. Paul's, is the rest of the conference. The rest of the conference is basically just drag, not sugarcoating it, but the rest of the conference is not very good. They're combined 5-30. And the only win that's out of conference for those 4 teams, West Bladen, Red Springs, Fairmont, and Clinton, is West Bladen beating a winless East Columbus team.
Oh, man.
And what part of your RPI is your opponent's record and then your opponent's record. And so things like that obviously didn't hurt. And then St. Paul's has also beaten West Columbus, who's 1-8, South Brunswick, who is 0-8, and Purnell Sweat, who is 3-6. Their 2 losses was the Lee County, who's 4-5, and Charlotte Latin, who is 8-2. Midway, on the other hand, Midway does have a win over Lakewood, who rates high in the 1A. Lakewood is 6th in the East, and then a North Johnston team who is around that area too, 6th or 7th in the 1A, or 7th or 8th in the 1A as well too. So Midway rates higher than St. Paul's does overall, just because of some better competition that they've faced non-conference. Goldsboro doesn't help them at 1-8. Hopton at 3-6 doesn't really help much either. But the couple games there with Lakewood and North Johnston is enough to bump them up higher. They were 7th, my fault, 7th when I checked the RPIs today. They were 7th. Now, you look, there might be 2 teams, for example, Whiteville and South Columbus. Whiteville is 4, and we'll get in East Bladen here shortly. Whiteville is 4, South Columbus is 6. Well, only one of those teams will be ranked above Midway because only one can be the conference champion, and conference champions are ranked before anybody else is. So Whiteville and South Columbus play this week, so even though one of them may finish above Midway, Midway may possibly be a 6 seed or something. And obviously, who both teams are playing this week is definitely going to help them in their RPI because they're playing, 8-1 and 7-2. So big game Friday, conference championship, and a lot of playoff seeding on the line. Staying in the Southeastern Athletic Conference, West Bladen got their 2nd win of the year over a winless Fairmont team, 40-20. West Bladen now 2-6 and 1-3.
Yeah, going back real quick to the RPI that you mentioned earlier, I just want to meet the nerd that came up with that rating system and put that into place, because to talk about your opponent's record and their opponent's record, and then
I think there's
use
another
that.
factors in there. As
Yeah,
well,
whoever
too.
did that, they're a statistics nerd. I want to shake their hand and then never meet them again, because that's far too much math for me to do. But yeah, Fairmont dropped the game last week against West Bladen. They're now 0-9, 0-4 in the conference, and they take on Clinton this week. Clinton will be at home, and I believe that's their senior night
Senior
as well.
night, got 5 seniors to be recognizing this Friday. West Bladen exploded as a team on Friday. 413 yards rushing as a team. Amari White had 32 rushes, 204 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had 145 yards the whole season coming into the game. So 145 through 7 games, ran off 204 past Friday. Hezekiah Blanks Adams, we've mentioned him about every week doing something. He had 14 rushes, 187 yards, 3 TDs total. One was a 99-yard run. And coming into the game, though, he had 223 yards coming in rushing all year. Ran off another 187 this past Friday. Justin Spalding had a rush TD as well for the Knights and a 2-point conversion. Wendell Wade, 10 tackles and a sack, and Tyleek Ballard, 8 tackles and a sack, and John McDowell, interception. They will host Red Springs this Friday, who is 2-7. West Bladen looking to finish up the year 3-6 on the season. Lakewood was open. They are 6-2 overall, 2-1 in conference play, and they will be at Rosewood this week, 5-4, 2-1. And again, that'll be a big game. Lakewood again comes in number 6 in the 1A, and that'll be a big game in terms of maybe moving up and down with Rosewood in terms of seeding play in the playoffs later on. More like Lakewood's going to be seeded lower than 6 going into the playoffs, because you have to rate all your conference champions first. But Lakewood currently 6th in the 1A East. Hopton defeated Union 50-6, and Union now 0-9, 0-4. Their lone score is a fumble return for a touchdown. Hopton raises the record to 3-6, and they are 1-2 on the season. And we saw them 2 weeks ago at Lakewood, and their same people kind of produced again this past Friday.
Yeah, Joe Corbett had 4 touchdown passes. Reggie Thompson and Anthony Cowell had 2 touchdown receptions each, and Javante Johnson had 2 touchdowns rushing. Didn't think it was going to be this lopsided. I absolutely despise having to pick 2 county teams playing each other. It makes my job a little bit easier because I don't have to write as long, but I do not like to pick one county team over another. Everybody deserves the same love. I think, I was just telling somebody today, give Union a couple more years, and they're a much different program, especially with Tobias Cromartie and everything. But one thing to note about both Hopton and Union, they added an extra game each on November 8th. So Hopton will play at Smithfield Selma, who's 1-8 currently on November 8th. They'll play at there, and then Union will play at West Columbus on November 8th as well. So good for those boys getting extra games in this season.
Those 2 teams are going to take the extra games. We talked with Coach Priest at East Bladen, who we'll get to next. He was not going to. I know Clinton is not going to play. And it sounds like Lakewood and Midway will not either. And I haven't talked with Coach Pate down at West Bladen about their prospects for another game off. But Hopton and Union will, like Brant just mentioned, on November 8th. And Dark Horse Sports Network might be someplace bringing you a game that day, and the playoffs will start November 15th. East Bladen, their season's over. My fault. Let's go back to Hopton. Hopton faces the unenviable task of going to North Duplin this week. North Duplin is 8-0, not the record I got there. 8-0 and 3-0 in conference play.
I had that game at home for Hopton.
Oh, is it Hopton? Yeah, I think it is actually. It is at Hopton. Yep, Hopton is home. That is true. Hopton is home against North Duplin. And North Duplin comes in undefeated, 8-0 and 3-0, and they were number 2 in the East after Tarboro in the RPI. East Bladen finishes their season 4-6, 3-3. They got steamrolled by Whiteville this past week. It was currently 8-1, 55-7. East Bladen with the loss. East Bladen will be seeded lower than this a little bit because again you got to seed all the conference champions. East Bladen was number 12 in the RPI in the East this Tuesday. But their season is over, and they'll get ready for playoffs 2 weeks from now. Speaking of playoffs. Playoffs. Harrells will start this week. I get that bite real quick if you want it. Harrells will start their playoffs this week. They dropped a 42-6 decision to Trinity. That dropped them to 6-3, 3-2 in conference play. They're the number 7 seed, and they will, ironically, go play High Point Christian Academy, the number 2 seed, who is 9-0 in the first round of the playoffs this Friday. that was a game that they were supposed to play, but got wiped out by Hurricane Helene earlier this year. So
Yeah,
they
I
should
had
finally
that-
get a chance to play.
I had that game pegged as a clash of two Titans earlier this season, and then it got rained out. I hope Heralds can, circle back, get back to what they were before their last two games, because they've dropped 2 in a row now. But Trinity is just a wagon, a powerhouse. Insert whatever nickname form you want. High school OT has them as the number 5 team in the 910 area code, and that includes all of the big 3A, 4A Fayetteville schools. So Trinity Christian's a very good program. If Heralds wins this week at High Point Christian, they will face probably Trinity Christian again, because they play another lower seed.
Trinity's the 3, and they're going against the 6. So Heralds would have a rematch with Trinity the next week at Trinity if Heralds can pull out the victory this week. Jared Miller had 9 rushes, 89 yards, and a touchdown, and 163. That was for Heralds. Heralds, though, only had 163 yards of total offense. That was their season low by far. Jaden Stallings had 1.5 sacks, and Shimani Newton and Jeremiah Davis both had an interception each in a losing effort for Heralds. Good luck to the Crusaders this week as they'll start playoff action at High Point Christian Academy this Friday. We'll be back for soccer coming up next here on Pressbox Chatter.
The Pressbox Chatter brought to you in part by Crumplin Plastic Pipe Incorporated, agricultural drain systems, constructed wetlands, septic sewer drain pipes. For more information, call 910-525-4046 or log on to the website www.cpp-pipe.com.
Stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group. Whether it's a sports injury, joint pain, or the need for expert surgical care, Sampson Orthopedic Group has you covered. Our team of skilled providers are here to get you back in doing what you love, pain-free. From advanced joint replacements to comprehensive sports medicine, we offer personalized, compassionate care that will get you back to doing what you love. Discover expert care right here in your community at Sampson Orthopedic Group. Call Sampson Orthopedic Group today at 910-590-1001. Again, call 910-590-1001 and stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group.
I have an update for you.
Oh, let's get an update here. Thanks for joining us again for the Pressbox Chatter. Brant has a up-to-the-minute update between Midway and Manio in the 4th round of the state playoffs.
Yeah, not Manteo, I found out again. So in the second set, they were tied, or the third set, I apologize, they were tied 23-all. After Midway dropped the second set to them, Manio ended up winning 25-23 to go up 2-1. And I just got news now that Midway did lose 3-1 tonight against Manio. So congratulations to the Lady Raiders. That was an awesome season. But yeah, unfortunately, they did fall to the Manio, whatever their mascot is.
And for Midway, that'll finish up their year at 21-4, I believe will be their record now for the season. Manio, more than Manio, good chance they might see Aiden Grifton. I'd heard some of the, Brian DeMay, who referees a lot of volleyball, talk about how good Aiden Grifton
They're
is.
very, very good.
Nice.
Yeah, they might win it all.
Again, congratulations to the Midway, losing tonight, though, 3-1 in the 4th round of the state playoffs. We'll head to soccer now, and we'll start with the Clinton Dark Horses, who was able to finish off an undefeated Southeastern Athletic Conference season. They took out Red Springs last Wednesday 4-0. J.J. Nahara, Walter Santos, Ryan Freeman with goals. Holden Spell had a goal and an assist. And they followed up last night again with really, again, it's a good win at going to St. Paul's. St. Paul's, I know, just has a 10-9-1 record, but they've played a lot of teams tough. It's a good overall squad. And defeated St. Paul's last night 3-0. Nahara, Spell, and Oscar Adaziak all had goals for the Dark Horses. So 20-2, 8-0. They're currently the number 1 in the RPI as of today in the East. And this Wednesday have a huge game.
Yeah, they take on Green Central, who lost in regionals last year to eventual state championship winner Franklin Academy, who we saw Clinton fall to at home a couple weeks ago. Looks like Green Central's coming into this game at 17-3. They're 12-0 in their conference. They're number 2 team in the East. And as you said earlier, Clinton is number 1. That is Wednesday, which is tomorrow, I guess, at 6 p.m. at the Dark Horse Soccer Complex. So I imagine there's going to be a big crowd there. Brad Spell will have that team buzzing, getting ready. I believe they have CV Jordan back now after he broke his leg earlier this season. So that's going to be a great soccer game. I talked with Spell earlier this year after the Franklin Academy game, and he purposely schedules games like this late in the season so that way they can prep themselves for the playoffs and everything.
You can look through the RPI like they're doing today, and that whole, it was Clinton, it's Green Central, it's Franklin Academy, it was Walls Rose Hill, it was James Keenan, it was these two. They're all, and Clinton's played every one of them, and so he's got to get in conference. Midway is a good challenge. St. Paul's is a decent team. A couple of the others struggle some, but to help out that strength of schedule and get his team ready, he's Coach Bell always schedules very difficult non-conference, and they did so again. And then they've taken an example of the extra week, and they will have another game next week, and they will host Cape Fear next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And Cape Fear right now is 18-4-1, so no layups heading into the playoffs there. So Green Central this week, number 2 team in East, and then Cape Fear next Wednesday at home for the Dark Horses, who are 18-4-1. Midway, currently second, will end up being second in the Southeastern Athletic Conference. They're 13-4-1 overall. They've had an excellent season, 5-2 in conference play. 7-1 win over West Bladen last Wednesday, followed up with a 5-1 win over Red Springs last night. They will finish up with St. Paul's Wednesday at home at 6:30. That'll be a good test there. And then they've gone ahead and taken advantage of the extra week, and they've got a very good Spring Creek team coming in. We've seen Spring Creek beat Hopton earlier in the year, for example. And so Spring Creek will come in. That's a 6:30 game next week at Midway. West Bladen now 7-8, 1-6 in conference play. They lost again 7-1 to Midway last Wednesday. Irving Montero Ortez had the goal, and Bryant Ortiz Aguilar had the assist. They will finish up the regular season at Red Springs this Wednesday, tomorrow at 6:30. East Bladen and Waccamaw 1A, 2A. East Bladen a solid 10-6-1, 8-2-1 in conference play. They were a 4-0 victor over Whiteville last Wednesday, and they'll finish up their the conference play tomorrow hosting Pender. Pender has already clinched first place. Pender's 18-4 in overall, 18-4 overall, 11-0 in conference play, and they beat East Bladen 2-1 early in the season at Pender. Be a nice window for East Bladen to finish out the regular season, the conference play, and give Pender their first loss of the year. They've taken advantage of the extra week too, and they will be going to St. Paul's next Wednesday. That should be a good match with St. Paul's. East Bladen at St. Paul's next Wednesday at 6:30 as they prepare for the playoffs the following week. Harold's finished up their season at 7-10-1, and they were done as they lost in their playoff action in the second round. And then Hopton, Lakewood, and Union, the Carolina 1A, all finished last week, and as of right now, they are off now till the playoff time, as far as I know.
No, they have the
extra games, or they have
the conference tournament. And I'm trying to get the results of that now as we speak.
So they've started that. I was kind of hoping James Lewis would keep us updated on it, but Lakewood and Hopton would have buys because they finished 1-2.
Correct.
Hopton 16-5-1, 10-0 in conference play. Hopton is the number 3 seed in the East in the 1A. They defeated North Duplin 4-0 last Wednesday. Lakewood 11-5-2, 7-2-1 in conference play. They defeated Rosewood 4-3 last Wednesday. Lakewood is the number 9. It is ranked number 9 currently in the RPI. And Union 3-16, 2-8. They lost 6-2 to News Charter to finish out the regular season. So they're in their conference tournament this week. I know Lakewood and Hopton have buys.
Union, I was at Union today doing some other stuff. Union won last night. They beat Rosewood 2-1, and let me get the.
So they would be playing.
Hopton, or
they would be playing Hopton because it's a 4-5 matchup. Because Union was 5th in the conference, and Rosewood was 4, so they would be going against Hopton. Lakewood would have gotten North Duplin and News Charter.
Yeah, let me. I had the schedule here at some point in time.
Oh, let's do this. We'll head to our last break. We'll come back with our games of the week, and then if we get a conference tournament for the Carolina 1A, we'll hit that up as well too. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be back to wrap things up here on this week's Pressbox Chatter.
Stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group. Whether it's a sports injury, joint pain, or the need for expert surgical care, Sampson Orthopedic Group has you covered. Our team of skilled providers are here to get you back and doing what you love, pain-free. From advanced joint replacements to comprehensive sports medicine, We offer personalized, compassionate care that will get you back to doing what you love. Discover expert care right here in your community at Sampson Orthopedic Group. Call Sampson Orthopedic Group today at 910-590-1001. Again, call 910-590-1001 and stay in the game with Sampson Orthopedic Group.
The Pressbox Chatter brought to you in part by Crumbler Plastic Pipe Incorporated, Agricultural Drain Systems, Constructed Wetlands, Septic Sewer Drain Pipes. For more information, call 910-525-4046 or log on to the website www.cpp-pipe.com.
All right, back to wrap things up here on this week's version of Pressbox Chatter. Join us every Tuesday at 6 o'clock here on Always 1170. Star Communications Channel 16, always1170.com, and the Mixler app. Again, Pressbox Chatter brought to you by Crumpler Plastic of Roseboro, Sampson Orthopedic Group, Star TV, and the Sampson Independent. Go to the Sampson Independent's website, clintonnc.com, to see the video replay of each week's show. And then at times I forget to turn the mic off when we're in advertisements. They're talking about different things. All right, you got the Carolina 1A tournament roundup there.
Yeah, so the opening round was Rosewood playing Union, News Charter playing North Duplin, and that all happened yesterday. Union and News Charter were the winners of those two games. So Union took on Hopton tonight at 5 o'clock, and News Charter took on Lakewood tonight at 7. So it kicks off in about 4 minutes at the end of our show. And then the championship game for the Carolina 1A Conference will be Thursday, Halloween, so dress up for that game, 6 p.m. at North Duplin. And there will be at least one representative from Sampson County in that. So from there it goes into the playoffs and everything. And I still don't understand conference tournaments and everything, but we'll have a winner.
That with being six teams, that kind of helps because it's hard when you get 6 teams. Of course, Clinton does that too. Getting scheduling, Clinton will end up having 5 teams. Southeast Athletic Conference, West Bladen only have 5 teams, so it helps with scheduling just because an extra, get something to do that extra week. Raise a little money for the conference as well too, but more so it's just getting games in because it's hard when you got such small conferences. We talked with Coach Spell and Coach Pate earlier in the year, the AD at West Bladen, about new conferences. They're hoping for 8 teams at least in conference play, so you got more conference games and not having to do so much non-conference. Games of the week, I think it's kind of short this week, even though with football you have some evenly matched teams. Clinton, Fairmont, West Bladen, and Red Springs are evenly matched, but I'll say the game of the week is obviously
Midway at St. Paul's, and I believe we will both be there doing different roles this time. I might pop up in the press box if you need me to read an ad read or anything like that. We can talk about pizza again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'll be there. That'll be our game of the week for the newspaper, so the rundown of that will be written by yours truly on Saturday morning, delivered to your mailbox.
There you go. Get the Sampson Independent. Brand's predictions will come out tomorrow. See how he predicts this week's coming up games. It's 75% win percentage. The Dark Horse Sports Network will be there as well too. We'll pregame 6:15. We'll be on the air at 7 o'clock. It'll be Midway at St. Paul's for the Southeast Athletic Conference Championship. And Ruby will wish her good luck this Saturday at the cross country meet. And then lastly, in soccer,
I think the game of the week is the Clinton playing Green Central tomorrow. And fun fact, you can also find that in Saturday's edition of the Sampson Independent. So your one-stop shop for all local sports, especially when it comes to our games of the week.
There you go. Frank Young's got it all covered here. And the Sampson Independent. Thanks so much for your work and the Sampson Independent's work covering all the teams. There's a lot of teams that cover too. You and your group do an excellent job getting everybody covered in the papers. We'll try to keep everybody updated here as well too. And again, Midway lost today to Manteo in the 4th round of the state playoffs and the volleyball playoffs, 3-1. And so Midway's fine season, but it ends in the 4th round of the playoffs. Thanks for joining us this evening. We'll see you next week here on Pressbox Chatter.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you at the ball game.
The Pressbox Chatter Show on WCLN is brought to you in part by the Sampson Independent. Don't forget to tune in every Tuesday at 6 for the latest broadcast on 1170 AM, Star TV Channel 16, oldies1170.com, and the Mixler app. And remember, when it's time for sports, it's always time for the Pressbox Chatter Show.